Once upon a time, as Rome donned the robes of a republican empire, across the vast Eurasian expanse, a triumphant monarch achieved what seemed impossible, the unification of central China under one rule. This tale begins in 221 BCE, a time of fierce competition and relentless warfare, when the Qin king ascended to the imperial throne, marking the birth of a new era. The Qin's rule, however, proved short-lived, succumbing to internal strife and external threats after a mere 15 years. Yet, from the ashes, emerged Liu Bang, the architect of the Han Dynasty, breathing life back into imperial power. These two rulers, Qin and Han, etched their names into the pages of history, shaping not just empires but influencing our very political vocabulary. China's empire unfolded across a sprawling landmass, a canvas painted not by nature's contours but by the intricate politics of empire building. Unlike Rome, whose empire embraced the Mediterranean's embrace, China's polity knew no such obvious bounds. The great rivers, the Yellow River and the Yangtze, flowed potential prosperity, but harnessing their power demanded meticulous management. The northern plains, a harmonious blend of agriculture and herding, stood in contrast to the central regions, where wheat and rice fields painted the landscape. Yet, connecting these diverse territories proved no easy feat. No waterways ran north to south, and challenging terrain made land transport a costly endeavor. In the quest for imperial dominance, the Qin rulers drew inspiration from the tapestry of their past. Centuries before, empires had risen and fallen, leaving traces of administrative wisdom and political expectations. The key to Qin's success lay in their strategic adaptation, enhancing central control and ruthlessly preventing fragmentation. Empire building in central China, however, faced a dual challenge. The relentless oscillation between harsh centralization and risky decentralization of power mirrored the tug-of-war with elite intermediaries. These intermediaries, wielding local resources, posed a perpetual threat to imperial unity. From the north and west, a new challenge emerged, where nomadic and settled peoples intersected, bringing both revenue and trouble. Nomads, masters of long-distance trade, became conduits for Chinese products to traverse deserts, steppes, and mountains. Nomadic inventions, particularly cavalry, reshaped the battlefield, challenging the traditional Chinese infantry. The Qin, strategically positioned in areas contested by nomadic peoples, held an advantage in the wars between rival kingdoms. Walls, constructed of tamped earth and stone, marked the physical manifestation of this competition. These barriers extended into undefined territory, protecting pastures and enabling a unique form of trench warfare against nomadic challengers. The principle of these walls was not to set a fixed border for all time but to build, move, and adapt. These walls were a testament to the fluid dynamics of imperial expansion, offering both protection and a means to extend influence into nomadic territories. And thus, the tale of China's imperial rule unfolded, a narrative woven by rivers, walls, nomads, and the delicate dance between centralization and decentralization. The echoes of this ancient saga continue to resonate through the corridors of history, shaping the destiny of a land that has stood the test of time. In the vast expanses of the northern and western steppes, around 209 BCE, a figure emerged from the shadows, Madian, a relentless outcast, patricide, and a strategic mastermind. Madian achieved the unthinkable. He united scattered nomadic clans, weaving them into a colossal confederation known as the Xiongnu Empire. This dominion stretched its arms from Manchuria across the vast Mongolian landscapes to the Altai highlands and into the heart of Central Asia. The stage was set, and the dance between the Chinese Empire and the Xiongnu Empire began. Their entangled destinies, shaped through the rhythm of war and the delicate steps of diplomacy, would leave an indelible mark on the canvas of China's statecraft and ideology. China's imperial tapestry differed starkly from Rome's. In the heart of China, a central agrarian expanse unfolded, offering sustenance but also providing a fertile ground for rebellion against central and local authorities. The roads that connected China's diverse regions were not fixed, like Rome's, but meandered through a landscape that allowed for both unity and dissent. Surprisingly, it was the unstable frontier regions to the west and north, with their mixed economies and long-distance connections, that became a wellspring for the Chinese Empire. Along these edges, outsiders sparked political and military innovations, strengthened cultural ties to distant realms, and, on occasion, injected new vitality into imperial dynasties. The battlefield where warring kings clashed echoed with the remnants of earlier empires, the Shang and the Zhou. Memories of past glories fueled 5 centuries of combat as kings sought to reclaim supreme authority lost in the 8th century BCE. The Qin Dynasty, victorious in 221 BCE, owed its success to a selective transformation of ancient ways and tactics inherited from rivals. A pivotal aspect of their triumph lay in redirecting the services and loyalty of peasants away from regional elites. This departure from the Zhou dynasty's practice of devolving power to subordinate kings disrupted the pattern that plagued imperial leaders for centuries. A fundamental element of the Qin's victory was the ingenious strategy of allocating land to peasants in exchange for their loyalty and military service. Unlike the devolution of power seen in Rome, this Chinese bargain did not bestow citizenship. Instead, it created a society of farmers tethered to the state by the very land they cultivated. The wars among competing states became a conduit for the spread of military technology and statecraft across the vast Chinese expanse. Chariot warfare evolved into a deadly art, with the Qin state, once a humble horse-raising dependency, transforming into a formidable force. The way state's land grant regime was rationalized, irrigation projects were undertaken, and reserve granaries were established, setting the stage for a strategic turnaround by the Qin kingdom. In this intricate dance of power, the Chinese empire and its competitors exchanged moves, weaving a tapestry of innovation, adaptation, and strategic brilliance. The echoes of this ancient symphony resonate through the corridors of history, shaping the destiny of a land where every move on the imperial chessboard held the weight of centuries. In the heart of the Qin dynasty's rise to power, a visionary named Shang Yang orchestrated a symphony of reforms that would forever alter the landscape of ancient China. Stationed at the Wei court, he tightened the Qin's grip on resources and loyalty, introducing revolutionary changes to the lives of peasants. Shang Yang's ingenious reforms provided peasants with legal rights to their land, turning each plot into a meticulously planned grid connected by irrigation ditches and pathways. This system, coupled with terms of service and taxation, birthed a fertile terrain that fueled not only the Qin's war machine but also the foundations of their imperial state. This meticulously structured system extended its roots through new territories as the Qin expanded. Annual reports, forecasts, statistical data, and standardized coinage became the tools of an intricate apparatus of surveillance and social control, a testament to Shang Yang's foresight in creating a governance system that foreshadowed modern or Western practices. Shang Yang's reforms rested on three pillars: a sovereign ruler, his unwavering law, and a society meticulously regulated to follow that law. The ruler, the source of all law, tasked society with not only adhering to it but also enforcing it. Codified law, a list of crimes and punishments, took on a militaristic direction under Shang Yang's guidance. Suspecting the disruptive potential of officials and scholars, Shang Yang proposed an unconventional solution. Ordinary people became enforcers through systems of self-surveillance, bolstered by rewards for denunciations and severe penalties for both committing and failing to report crimes. Knowledge of the laws needed to be widespread, ensuring that no official dared to subvert the law on their own. This top-down, popularly enforced regulatory state was tailored for agricultural production and warfare. Suspicious of intermediaries, the Qin regime rewrote the narrative of social status, making military performance the linchpin for rewards. A system of 20 ranks determined military accomplishments, and the standardized land plot aligned military units with supporting households. However, the very exigencies that shaped Shang Yang's reforms also led to his downfall. Executed in 338 BCE for insisting on punishing a tutor according to the laws, Shang Yang became a victim of his own unyielding principles and the inherent challenges of abolishing the personal element of power. To bolster the ranks of peasant infantry, the Qin ruler established elite military units, mirroring a rival kingdom. Adopting a policy of attacking people, rather than merely absorbing territories, the Qin sought to obliterate any possibility of resistance from their rivals. This approach resulted in staggering bloodshed, with Qin armies purportedly killing 400,000 soldiers of their main competitor, the Zhao, in 260 BCE. After facing losses inflicted by rivals allied against them, the Qin completed their imperial conquest by defeating all 6 remaining states in 7 years. In 221 BCE, the Qin achieved their goals of vanquishing various states, completing an empire, and uniting the world, as laid out by their advisor. Born in 259 BCE, Emperor Zheng, the first Qin emperor, faced skepticism about his legitimacy and the status of his biological father. Scholars of the subsequent Han Dynasty questioned the narrative, emphasizing the emperor's mother as the concubine of a rich merchant. Nevertheless, when Zheng ruled, he transcended such doubts, proclaiming himself the August Emperor, invoking divine sanction and solidifying his role as the source of order and law. To secure the longevity of the Qin Empire, the emperor's claim to universal power needed recognition throughout the realm. The empire was meticulously divided into command areas and counties, each administered by centrally appointed officials subject to recall at any time. This governance approach, distinct from Rome's reliance on local elites, ensured a centralized grip on the empire. To facilitate accounting and communication, a simplified script was created and used across regions with diverse languages. The Qin introduced a new imperial currency, standardized weights and measures, and even regulated the width of axles to ensure carts traveled the same routes along the empire's roads. The expansive road network, reaching into Inner Mongolia and the eastern provinces, was a testament to the empire's reach. Canals were constructed to enhance river connections, and the empire's road network radiated from its capital at Xianyang. This intricate infrastructure, built with massive labor, exemplified the Qin's commitment to unifying their realm through communication and transportation. The stage was set, and the Qin Dynasty, with its mix of military prowess, governance innovations, and unyielding centralization, embarked on a journey that would echo through the corridors of Chinese history. In the intricate fabric of the Qin Empire, the threads of integration wove together a tapestry of revenue, service, and information. The roads, meticulously controlled through checkpoints and passports, served as the veins and arteries of the empire. Taxation, the lifeblood, coursed through the system, unequally assessed on different societal groups. Merchants, bearing a heavier burden, paid a higher poll tax than peasants, while slave owners paid double for each slave. Peasants, the backbone of the empire, faced both a harvest tax, linked to the size of their allotment, and a head tax. Males, bound by duty, owed labor and military service, the latter dependent on their age and status. The intricate system also enforced higher taxes on households with more than one adult male, reinforcing the nuclear family as the primary unit of production. To manage this vast web of systems, an extensive civil service became the orchestra, playing the symphony of imperial governance. However, this orchestra needed a conductor, and the emperor, wary of the multiplicity of historical precedents, locked away the great books of the past in an imperial library, tightly controlled and accessible only under government supervision. Controlling regional elites proved equally challenging. Powerful families were summoned to the capital, Xianyang, where the emperor could keep a watchful eye on them, while former local rulers were provided with palaces and the opportunity to cultivate a genteel culture. Beneath the surface, many schemed to reclaim past glories. Yet, the very triumphs of the Qin laid the groundwork for their undoing. The colossal projects, canals, walls, roads, strained the empire's resources. The unrelenting war machine, mobilizing massive armies and forced labor, marked the beginning of the end. Civil war erupted after the death of the first emperor, with prominent families, former royals, and opportunists converging in a chaotic struggle for power. In 202 BCE, after 8 years of tumultuous warfare, a commoner named Liu Bang emerged victorious, declaring the end of the Qin Dynasty. With the fall of the Qin, Liu Bang, now Gaozu, the first Han emperor, learned a vital lesson from history. Rather than alienating elite subordinates, he credited his military leaders for their roles in victory. Gaozu embraced a less centralized approach, reinstating subordinate kingdoms in the eastern half of the empire while maintaining the Qin's command organization in the west. In this delicate dance of power, kings were required to render annual homage to the emperor and report on tax collection and revenues. The eastern regions retained a second tier of nobles entitled to collect and transfer taxes to the center. The key to the Han's enduring dynasty lay in maintaining multiple lines of authority, avoiding extremes of centralization or diffusion of power to intermediaries. As the Han emperor, Gaozu orchestrated a symbolic journey, moving the capital first to Luoyang in the south, rooted in his family's history, and later to Chang'an, near the ashes of the old Qin capital. Leaving his family's place of origin for the heart of the Qin's former space enhanced the emperor's all-encompassing status. Gaozu, dismissing his alleged disgraceful past, boldly claimed a divine origin, asserting himself as the son of heaven. In the realm of ideas, the Han dynasty found guidance in the wisdom of Confucius. His teachings, recorded, systematized, and propagated as a code of conduct, became the moral compass of the empire. Confucius, preoccupied with the decline of the Zhou dynasty centuries earlier, extolled the virtues of a society built on individuals performing their assigned roles. Let the ruler be a ruler and the subject a subject. Let the father be a father and the son a son. This saying encapsulated imperial and patriarchal power, infusing a social dimension into the Qin's system of ranks. Integrity, righteousness, loyalty, altruism, respect for tradition, and good manners formed the backbone of this ethical framework, offering a blueprint for elite education and ideal behavior in the empire. Within the expanse of imperial China, the emperor's divine mandate painted a canvas that embraced ideological diversity beyond the Confucian narrative. Contemplative tendencies coexisted with state cults, intertwining the emperor with gods of earth and sky. Flexibility in religious matters distinguished Chinese empire, sustaining a capacity for adaptation that outlasted Rome. Buddhism, a newcomer during the Han Dynasty, seamlessly integrated into local and imperial rituals, its images finding a place alongside other divinities. The Qin Dynasty, architects of a formidable legal system, wielded law as a sharp tool of rule. Death, mutilation, and hard labor were the stark punishments. Under the Han Dynasty, some mutilations gave way to corporal punishment. Amnesties and redemption became threads binding the people to their rulers, emphasizing the law-bound nature of authority. In the intricate dance of imperial governance, the Han Dynasty diverged from Rome by placing a central role on a vast and organized body of officials. The tradition of learned advisors created a dynamic interplay of rewards and risks for both ambitious counselors and the emperor. The capital city, a bustling stage, overflowed with officials, their staffs, and servants. The hierarchy of ranks, ranging from the Grand Tutor to ministers and the Imperial Inspector, formed a complex web influencing the emperor's decisions. Meritocracy breathed life into government by officials. The emperor recruited from the sons of landowners, establishing an imperial academy in 124 BCE to train them in rule techniques, record-keeping, and Confucian ideals. An examination system, akin to a university, selected 100 men annually to enter the bureaucracy. This path to higher rank and fortune opened gates for provincial elites and wealthy families, introducing new perspectives and individuals into the imperial center. Education became a conduit for upward mobility, infusing the system with fresh blood and ideas. However, it brought its own challenges: privileged access to learning, favoritism in examinations, cliques of officials, and a tendency toward formulaic approaches to administration. Yet, the rewards of officialdom countered the temptation for provincial elites to challenge the emperor's command. Respect for rank and office did not solidify into social stagnation. Instead, it provided a ladder for both ascent and descent. Ambitious families forged connections inside and outside officialdom, extending their influence. People of low rank, from infrequent peasants to more frequent merchants, found pathways into positions of power by mobilizing resources and influencing officials. The tale of the Qin Emperor's merchant-linked origins underscored the proper order of things. Merchants, though integral to the commercial life of cities, were meant to serve the state, not the reverse. Qin and Han cities, structured meticulously, witnessed markets surveyed by officials and separated from imperial domains. The commercial pulse of cities, subject to administrative control, infused vitality into the imperial system. The empire's borders were both a wellspring of innovation and a font of danger. Nomadic peoples, such as the Xiongnu, who had consolidated their empire in the west during the Qin's expansion, posed a formidable threat. The actions of these nomads compelled Chinese rulers to devise strategies for dealing with groups they could not absorb. The dance of innovation and danger along the frontier would continue to shape the narrative of Chinese imperial history. In the vast theater of imperial China, the ever-present Xiongnu posed both a challenge and an opportunity for Chinese rulers. The dynamic between them oscillated between the clash of war and the delicate choreography of diplomatic arrangements. Initially, the Chinese military, with its rigid structures, often found itself outmaneuvered by the mobile and self-sufficient Xiongnu cavalry, commanded by the shrewd Chan Yu and shielded by a formidable imperial guard. The approach to dealing with the Xiongnu took a dual nature. The early years witnessed attempts at outright warfare, appealing to the ambitions of military minds and exasperated counselors weary of nomadic incursions. However, a pivotal shift occurred after a failed aggressive war left the Han Emperor encircled, prompting a move towards a more pacific arrangement: marriage alliances. This diplomatic maneuver hinged on four pillars: the exchange of coveted Chinese goods for nomadic products, the marriage of a Han princess to the Chan Yu, the acknowledgement of Han and Xiongnu as equals, and the establishment of the Great Wall as a boundary. A treaty in 162 BCE delineated the Chan Yu's rule north of the Great Wall and the Han Emperor's dominion to the south, marking a symbolic division between two distinct empires. This division prompted reflections on the stark differences between the Chinese and nomadic way of life. Scholars crafted an image of the Chinese as settled, grain-eating, cloth-wearing people, juxtaposed against the mobile, meat-eating, fur-clad nomads. Yet, despite historical narratives portraying perpetual conflict, the reality often manifested in intricate inter-empire diplomacy. Acknowledging the nomad social order, Chinese imperial strategy recognized dealing with nomadic leaders as political authorities. Diplomacy, while a crucial component, wasn't the sole concern for either empire. Both contended with internal fragmentation and the risk of defection to the opposing side. The emperor and the Chan Yu sought allies among each other's subordinated peoples, a recurring tactic. Emperor Wu, in a bid to outflank the Xiongnu, expanded campaigns into Central Asia, conquering Fergana in 101 BCE. The competition persisted for a century, and as the Xiongnu fragmented, leaders of subordinated peoples renegotiated relationships with the Han, solidifying their loyalty through tribute. Han's relentless efforts to control the western borders forced a profound reconfiguration of its military, leading to unintended consequences. Universal military service was discarded in 32 CE, and the empire shifted from peasant infantry to professional soldiers, often former nomads who had submitted to the emperor. Yet, allowing peasants to buy off service-strained resources, plunging many into debt and servitude. This empowered local elites who could exploit debtors and recruits for their gain. A revolt against an over-centralizing emperor revealed that peasants could transfer their loyalty to regional elites. In response, the Han relocated former nomadic peoples within the empire to counter local rebellion. The outsourcing of defense to tribal chieftains coincided with the eastward shift of the Han Dynasty and the rebuilding of the capital in Luoyang. Over time, Han strategies eroded Xiongnu unity, but the downfall of Chanyu sovereignty had dire repercussions. When Xiongnu rewards diminished, nomadic frontier troops resumed raiding settled populations. Peasants retreated eastward, and the Han government, unable to force resettlement, focused on defending the capital. The once mighty empire, a product of military centralism, now grappled with decentralization, losing control over its frontiers and unleashing warlordism in its diminished core. In the grand tapestry of ancient history, two colossal empires, China and Rome, unfolded their narratives on opposite sides of the vast Eurasian expanse. The rise and fall of dynasties marked the ebb and flow of power, leaving an indelible imprint on the contours of their respective lands. The Chinese saga began with the Qin Dynasty, seizing the reins of power in 221 BCE and laying the groundwork for imperial rule. Following a tumultuous period of collapse, the Han Dynasty emerged, weaving together the fractured threads of the empire. Nomadic influences and the serenity of Buddhism breathed life into the Sui and Tang dynasties, revitalizing China. However, the wheel of time continued to turn, bringing fragmentation, marked by the Song, Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties. The Han Dynasty, at the zenith of its power, faced a dire challenge, an onslaught from rebellious lords coinciding with internal divisions among its nomadic supporters. Yet, the empire's phoenix-like resurgence unfolded centuries later under the Sui and Tang banners. This mixed Turkic-Chinese dynasty, fueled by nomadic military prowess, Buddhist wisdom, and expansive trade, stitched the fabric of the polity anew. The saga of China's imperial history echoes with a perplexing question: why did Chinese empire repeatedly mend its fractures in the same geographic arena, while Rome's resurrection remained elusive? Intriguingly, the two empires shared striking similarities. Both emerged in the 3rd century BCE, their influence stretching across the vast expanse of Eurasia. Rigorous taxation, monumental road systems, a commitment to learning, genteel behavior, and extensive census-taking were threads woven into the fabric of both empires. They boasted enduring repertoires of power, overseeing massive populations for centuries. Divergence arose from the loom of political geography. Chinese leaders, inheriting ancient notions of rule, built upon foundations laid by Zhou kings. In contrast, Rome's militant republicanism lacked a direct political ancestor, drawing inspiration from distant powers. China's flexible imperial geography, with capital shifts and strategies like relocating subordinates, stood in stark contrast to Rome's fixation on the Mediterranean as the fulcrum of its power. Rome, through conquest, taxation, and maritime commerce, wove the Mediterranean into a cohesive economic system. Yet, this interconnected web centered on the sea proved vulnerable. As emperors and armies ventured beyond Rome, the system fragmented. The decline of differentiated economies and urban life rendered the recapture of the center less compelling. Conversely, China's empire, not tethered to a single city or sea, exhibited a dynamic character. Capital shifts and resettling troublesome subordinates were strategies to combat regional power threats. Engagements with nomadic frontiers fueled exploration, military advancements, and political innovation. The fixation of Romans to Rome contrasted sharply with China's spatial flexibility. Roman political institutions burgeoned in a city where citizen soldiers held sway. The radical concept of popular sovereignty, an outgrowth of Rome's manageable city space, allowed for outward expansion without disrupting central command. In contrast, Chinese rulers, while committed to rule by law, operated from different assumptions. Law emanated from the emperor, and the concept of a separate judiciary was unnecessary. Chinese law, a set of rules issued by the emperor, existed as an integral part of administration. Roman legal institutions thrived in a climate where citizens' rights and legal processes were preserved, at least in principle. Public forums and the voices of citizens played a role in shaping legal discourse. In contrast, Chinese law, issuing from the emperor's edicts, didn't seek public approval. Wise officials interpreted the law, but their counsel was directed to the emperor, not subject to public debate. In the provinces, judicial matters were processed by officials, steering clear of local noble interference. In the next chapter of this intricate tale, we will delve deeper into the story of Chinese empire, exploring its continued cycles of disaggregation and reconstitution across the centuries. In the vast canvas of ancient empires, both Rome and China grappled with the challenge of keeping their intermediaries in check, subordinate yet loyal. Their divergent managerial strategies, deeply embedded in their political fabric, hold a key to understanding why China experienced revival while Rome's fate took a different course. In the intricate dance of power, China entrusted its stability to the art of rule by officials. Born out of conflicts among rival kings during the empire's inception, this system became a bulwark against the looming threats of subordinated royals or regional powers tearing the polity asunder. The Qin and Han leaders devised a centralized officialdom network, reaching deep into the countryside. Recruitment, education, and examinations acted as conduits, attracting local talent into the imperial administration. The allure of imperial rewards, from resources to prestige and a refined way of life, kept the flame of the Chinese empire burning bright even in the intervals between successful dynasties. Rome, on the other hand, navigated the intricacies of empire management through an indirect route. Military prowess served as a gateway to advancement, from the lower ranks to the pinnacle of power. Local elites, instead of joining imperial ranks, found solace in participating in public imperial cults, paying taxes, and enjoying the fruits of Rome's cultural and commercial networks. The empire showered its elites with land, slaves, legal status, and comforts. Yet, a subtle shift occurred in the twilight of Roman times. Local aristocrats, lacking the skills and motivation to become imperial officials, turned their cultural capital inward, sustaining Roman ideals while charting their own regional paths. The decline of empire's rewards and discipline sparked a transformation where regional elites applied their cultural prowess locally, keeping Roman ideas alive but letting the empire slip away. As we delve deeper into the annals of these empires, two overarching themes come to the fore: political imagination and the politics of difference. Both Rome and China, in distinct yet interconnected ways, wielded knowledge as a potent force. Roman intellectuals painted vivid tales of glory, crafting heroic myths and reshaping civilization to suit the times. Their narratives shifted between praising Rome's grandeur and lamenting its corruption and decline, keeping the flame of Roman virtues alive. In China, scholars extolled the virtues of past rulers, glorifying the present dynasty. Rome etched its former emperors into the calendar, a perpetual homage. In contrast, China's eras began anew with each emperor, underscoring the emperor's primacy in the present and the future. Roman citizenship emerged as a monumental invention, institutionalized during the Republic and sustained through the empire's expansion. The extension of citizenship, culminating in Caracalla's decree in 212 CE, transformed the landscape of rights and sovereignty. Imperial citizenship became a multifaceted concept: legal status, a source of pride, cultural superiority, a personal bond with state power, and a connection with other citizens across vast spaces. This bond with the state and fellow citizens became a dynamic force, shaping the trajectory of empires and transcending the confines of the emperor's court. In China, the belief in the superiority of its civilization coexisted with encounters with those who lived differently. China's approach to nomadic others aligned with its hallmark: government by officials. Leaders with barbarian origins could rise as the emperor's subordinates, embodying the virtues of good governance. As collectives, outsiders were recognized through pragmatic alliances, tributary relations, and military emulation. While some historical accounts framed these interactions as Han versus barbarian, even then, acknowledgement existed that barbarians had their own way of life. Both empires sought to keep their diverse populations loyal and productive. Romans, through citizenship extension and later, with the adoption of Christianity, championed a singular, superior political community based on shared rights and culture. In China, where settled and nomadic peoples converged, uniformity wasn't demanded, and the potentially disruptive rights of citizens weren't offered. However, China embraced and exploited inputs from outsiders, and its diplomacy recognized the reality of alien powers and accorded them due respect. 2,000 years ago, Rome and China etched two variants on the politics of difference, shaping the course of imperial power. Their unique approaches to questions of political belonging and the treatment of those outside the core culture left an enduring mark on the trajectories of these ancient empires.